There, it's Chris, and today we're going to be talking all about the Spartan race coming up in Palmerton about 2 months from now over in July. And if you've never done this one before, you just want a real quick overview. This one is kind of one of those monsters of a course, in that it's ranked in the top 5 hardest courses in the country, despite the fact that it doesn't have a beast or ultra loop you can do on this. It only goes up to a super, and it's still ranked in the top 5 hardest in the country. And now, having done the Killington race and this one in the past, when comparing the two kind of mile per mile, at least for the first, say, 4 miles, the two are very similar to each other. I'm going to say really 2 main differences between the Killington and Palmerton, at least at the start, in that Killington at least gives you a little bit of kind of a bunny hill to go up and over. Yes, it's like a 500-foot tall, whatever kind of bunny hill to kind of get you warmed up to go. Palmerton's going to start you off on a 1,000-foot climb right in the first mile. Bam, you go right up that mountain, right from the get-go. And the second difference is Killington is done in September. It's done a little further north in Vermont, where it's a little cooler. Palmerton is done in the middle of July. So heat becomes a bigger factor. So kind of mile per mile, at least for the first half of this course, as we're basically churning out these hills, I'd almost say Palmerton is harder than Killington until we get past that second climb. Because then the back half of the course is then finally back downhill we can go. But this is no joke of a course. It's a monster time. And from here, there are going to be really 3 main checkpoints on the course we need to take into account when kind of forming our training plan, things we need to kind of get over in order to have a successful race. And this is coming from someone who's had both successful races and very not successful races due to heat-induced issues. And a couple of things I've noticed is, from the 3. So the first one is you need to be able to do hills. You got to be able to get the hills done. You're going to go up that mountain the first mile. Second mile, you're going to go right back down that mountain. Third mile, you're going to go right back up that mountain again. So you're going to have like 2,000 feet of climbing in the first 3 miles or so of the race. It's nuts. Second part is after you do that second climb, this is where they're going to stick a number of their strength kind of obstacles. I know they're probably not going to have the obstacles going to be classified on the course again. They're kind of doing that this year, which this is an extremely spectator-friendly venue up here. So it would be nice for the spectator side to know what they can and can't see, because they can take the gondola all the way up to the top, the ski lift all the way up to the top, and see all the stuff. So it would be nice if they have a map for them at least to look and see what they can actually see, but I'm going to go ahead and assume they're not going to show the map. But generally speaking, when you come back up the second time, you hook back into that sprint loop again, and that's where you're going to throw all their obstacles are always going to be on that sprint loop. So when you get up that second climb, you might be tired of climbing. You might have like Atlas carry. You might have, I've seen Hercoist up there. You're definitely going to have a sandbag carry. They moved it one year, too many complaints, so they brought it back up to the top. I think it's been there ever since. So you're going to have a lot of these really, really kind of heavy strength things going back to back to back up top, and that's going to wear you down. And then as you get back into the back end of the course, you're coming back down the hill towards the finish. Again, we're in the middle of July. Heat is going to be your final main factor we need to go through. So if we're going to make a training plan kind of specifically for this race, I don't know if this is going to be like your one main one you're doing, if this is part of a longer string of things you're doing, in which case if you're doing a longer string of events, keep doing what you're doing, that's going to be fine. I kind of do I tend to train for one race at a time, and that's it. So I might do one. So I just finished the Vernon one like a few weeks ago, and now I'm going to take a couple months to then get ready for the next one. I don't do things back to back to back to back to back. I like giving myself a little bit of downtime. So for this, I would say you want to kind of prepare for each of those equally, but that's not necessarily the case, because if you're strong in one aspect and you're weak in another, this has a chance to snowball on you. So you really need to be prepared for these things in sequential order. You can be the strongest guy in the world and have absolutely no issue whatsoever doing the strength workout and doing the strength stuff at the top. You might beast your way through that sandbag carry up that Climb of Champions at the top with no issue. But if you don't know how to do hills and your legs aren't ready to do hills, your heart rate's going to be going a mile a minute as you go up that second climb. You're going to be going like 170, 180 beats per minute up there. And then you're going to get out into the sun. It's going to keep going. And as you start getting the strength stuff, you're not going to be able to have the strength at that point. You're going to be worn down from both the heat and the hill to not be able to do that. So if I'm going to do this, I'm going to prioritize sequentially how we're going to go through and finish this course. The main thing I want to get done on this is, if I can't make it up that second climb of the day, first climb we're still going to be kind of fresh. You're starting out, it's going to be done within like 20 minutes or so, depending how fast or slow you are. It could be 15 minutes, it could be 25 minutes, whatever it is. But you're done with that really, really quick. But it's the second climb that's going to kill you. And if you have a lousy second climb, the rest of the course is going to go downhill, because you're never going to be able to turn your heart rate back off again. It's just going to be going a mile per minute the whole way, and you're just going to be done. So my primary target for, at least training wise, is if you go back to the Vernon Ultra playlist that I'd done before on like getting ready for mountain type courses, I'm going to be doing a lot of lunges going into this thing. Probably twice a week I'm going to be doing lunges after my runs or after bike rides. I kind of do getting ready for this. I know for the Vernon one, I wanted to have at least a quarter mile worth of lunges done before I got into the Vernon. This one I'd like to be somewhere between a quarter mile and eighth of a mile, which takes about anywhere from 16 to 24 minutes of straight lunges going through. I would like to be able to do that before I get into this, because I've noticed the times where I've had really lousy races, I've had a really hard time getting up that hill, and then I just couldn't turn the heart rate off at that point. Once the heat took over, it was just done. So that's going to be the primary focus. The strength stuff is going to wear you down, but the strength stuff kind of works in a way that once you have the base strength to be able to, say, lift an Atlas stone, do like a 6-panel full Olympus thing, once you can carry a bucket or a sandbag, once you can kind of do those, if you've done other courses, you've gotten to a point where you can kind of do those, you really don't need to add that much to the strength side. I know the big things, you want to make, oh, Spartan Super strong kind of thing, but if you're treating this as a race, as a standalone event that you want to go as fast as you can on, once you're able to kind of do those, I tend to kind of back off, and I just do like maybe once or twice a week, just kind of do a runner-based kind of strength kind of training program. You can find a lot of those online. I'm not a great person to go off for upper body strength stuff. A lot of mine comes from my day job. But once you're able to do that, you don't need to focus so much on the upper body stuff. But again, if you have a hard time like lifting an Atlas stone or something right now, I would probably look elsewhere for ways to get stronger in, the right way to kind of go about doing that type of stuff. But the last one is going to be just dealing with the heat in general. And that's mostly one thing I'm really bad with. This is usually my kind of downtime of year. Like I said, I went to school up in Syracuse. I'm used to cold weather. My body it's been over 20 years. My body hasn't forgotten it at this point. So I'm a cold weather person. This is kind of like my worst case scenario. But in my mind, if I can get up that second hill without my heart rate going crazy, I can then kind of try to keep it down as much as I can. I'm going to be drinking all the stuff I can. I'm going to have the vest on here. I'm going to have the back flask. I'm going to have 50 ounces of fluid on me at the start of the race. And I will go through a lot of that throughout the course of this. I will be taking every water stop along the way. But yeah, essentially what's going to happen is in order to cool down, your core overheats, so your heart starts pumping the blood out fast. Your heart starts just pumping the blood to get it to the outside of your body here, where it then evaporates and dissipates off in heat, and that's what happens. So throughout the course of the race, one thing you're going to want to do just to kind of check yourself to see if you're going to be overheating or not, the best way to see is once you start sweating, is the sweat evaporating, or is it just kind of pooling there and not going anywhere? If we have a humid day out there and the water is just kind of pooling, especially like going through the woods on that second climb, or on the woods coming back down during the final descent, where we're going to be surrounded by like all this kind of greenery stuff here, this is going to hold the moisture in. If the moisture is not evaporating off of you, that's a sign that you're not going to be able to cool yourself down, and you could be getting yourself into trouble as the course goes on. So at that point, probably back off a little bit. I wouldn't be going super hard at that, but yeah, try not to get yourself into heat trouble. But now, for the most part, going into training on this one is going to be just hills. If you live in an apartment building or have office building to go off of, go down up and down those stairs. If you don't have that, you can do Stairmaster. I like doing lunges. It's a way, rather than do like just kind of squats, which is this pure strength thing, either like a Stairmaster or lunges is more like an endurance kind of practice to kind of get the repetition of doing over and over and over, doing these kind of movements is going to be helpful for going up these hills, because yeah, if you can't do that second hill, it's going to be a rough time for the rest of the course, especially once the strength stuff kind of starts kicking in. So that's what I have really on this one. Just focus on hills, focus on lunges, focus on Stairmaster. If you're going up and down apartment type stairs or stairwells, don't use the handrails. There are no handrails on the course. Don't take the easy way. You got to do the stairs. You got to do it. Embrace the suck, I think is the phrase they use. I forget if that's a Spartan one or not, but that's kind of what it turns into. Is that's going to be your main focus going forward on this. That said, I'm still going to keep a base of my workouts. Is still going to be basing off of a zone 2 thing, whereas before on the ultra training, I had pushed a lot of my I did my 80-20, my zone 4, my 20% zone 4 stuff. I kind of pushed toward my long distance runs at the end of the week. I'm probably going to be moving those more towards adding those into my shorter kind of weekday runs and doing kind of intervals and stuff like that, just to kind of get the heart used to going faster, slow down, because we're going to be hitting obstacles more frequently on this than an ultra. So I'm going to be doing a lot of those more kind of tempo kind of runs throughout the week. And then the weekend is either going to be like a trail run or probably a bike ride or something, because once we start getting into like these 70s, 80s, whatever degree weather, getting into it, my body starts falling apart and I'll lose up to like a pound per mile when I start running. So this is a time where I start getting a little creative on my distance workouts. They might be either like 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, or it's just going to be hopping on a bike. It's going to be a lot of biking type workouts going in. But whatever you can do, it's going to help towards that. And I'm kind of rambling without really a coherent thought in mind at this point, so I'm just going to cut it here. And as stuff comes to mind, I'll bring that up in the future. Otherwise, my new GoPro did come in. Yay. So haven't turned it on yet. I've been charging the batteries. So hopefully either this afternoon or tomorrow I can start playing with that and seeing if I can bounce that work and what I can kind of get away with on that. So maybe next week might just be like a trail run or something with that on here, just kind of get an idea, a feeling for how this camera works out. So it's not going to be the same as my last video series, but this is going to be like a hodgepodge of, if I come up with ideas to kind of talk about, we'll go there. Otherwise, it could just be a fitness kind of thing that I just put out, whether a bike ride or a trail run or something. So stay tuned for that next week. It'll be fun. And until then, and until next time, enjoy.